Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Prospector's Cache. I'm not feeling really great today, so this will probably be a very short live broadcast, but I do these every Wednesday night, and I appreciate everyone that joined us. My friend David is on here from 79 Custom Jigs, and hello, David. I see you on here. Um, I Today I want to talk about programs. There's been kind of a lot of people arguing and stuff like that about different programs. There's actually been some, people getting on there talking, down to other people about, sharing their programs and stuff, saying they don't work. Well, so what if they don't work? Basically somebody gets on the internet and tries to share his opinion on something, um, that's something that should be admired by the metal detecting community, and you guys should really promote that. And if you want to give feedback on a program, positive or negative, that's fine. Just don't get to the point where you're insulting someone. It's just common dignity and common manners. Hasn't happened on my channel. Hasn't happened to me, thank God. But watching some of the other channels, there's a gentleman that come up with a idea for a program and that uses some discrimination and stuff, and other people were complaining that it would miss all kinds of stuff. But I tried the program. I didn't personally like it, but the guy got on there and uh, he wanted to share his program, and I thought that was pretty brave of him to get on the YouTube there and share that program with people. And if the program works in his area for him, that's great. Um, so I wanted to talk about programs, and I got to tell you straight up, there's no program on any metal detector that works perfectly everywhere. There's no metal detector that works perfectly everywhere. So what you have to do is learn how to use your metal detector and go into um, read the manuals, take advice from other people, listen to what other people are saying about the different detectors, and go on there and really research your detector and find out what it's capable of doing. Now, what I'm going to go over in settings, most detectors are capable of doing these things. Most modern detectors are. Some detectors have more features than others, but I'm going to go over my settings that I use for my metal detector, and I just want to get started with that. We'll start with the basic program setups that we have here. This is for the Deus 2. It comes stock with these programs. It comes stock with general right here. It comes stock with sensitive full tones, fast, park, deep high conductor, Deus mono, gold fill for gold prospecting, relic hunting, diving, beach, and beach sensitive. Um, you'll notice I've got four programs highlighted here, and those are the ones that I primarily base my detector off of in my area. I use sensitive full tones. I have a program that I'm going to show you in a few minutes that's based off the sensitive full tones program that I've saved that I use for diving. I've got a fast program that I use for treasure competition hunts. And I really like this program because it's, like I said, like the name implies, it's fast, but I've made some tweaks to it that works better for my hunts and the way I do it. Then the deep high conductor program, that's what I base my coin hunting off of. I look for coins, and I've got that set up. And then the beach sensitive program, the end program down here, is the program that I base my beach program off of. And I just want to go over all the settings and explain that all detectors pretty much have these settings. Now, on the Deus 2, discrimination goes from negative 6.4 all the way up to 99. Um, Usually, this discrimination, you want to set it just to get rid of iron in the ground and iron, random iron targets. From the factory, in general, it comes set, the discrimination comes set at 10. In sensitive program, it's set at 6.8. That's the same as in sensitive full tones fast. Park mode sets the discrimination up to 9. Deep high conductor sets it up to 9. Deus mono turns it down to 6.1. Diving, beach, and beach sensitive all have it turned up to 8 for discrimination. And Goldfeld and Relic do not use any discrimination at all. Now, on the Deus 2, it has basically different tones that you can set it up. I'll start here with full tones. Full tones basically runs from 100 kilohertz all the way up to approximately 1,000 kilohertz, 999 kilohertz, roughly. So based on the conductivity of the target, the full tones right here, what it does is it will actually change the pitch, the tone of the target, go to a higher tone for more conductive targets. For instance, silver will be a higher tone than copper or nickel. Iron to be a really low grunt tone, or a really low, like 100 kilohertz tone or something like that. And then you have pitch tones. Now, and that's pitch tones is not based on the conductivity of the target. Pitch tones is based on the size of the target. So what pitch does is it will tell you if something's big or small, but it doesn't change much based on the size of the target. You just basically set a threshold pitch tone, and that pitch tone gets louder. The pitch changes louder based on whatever size that is. Now, one of the other options is the Deus 2 offers 5 tones. So you have tone 1 through 5 on here, and that's, you can set different tone bends. You can set the frequency of the tone bend. You can set the number of the tone bend. The number is based on conductivity. For instance, nickels on a Deus 2 come in from 54 to 64. So you could set a tone bend up for the numbers 54 to 64, and you could set it to 800 kilohertz, and you could set it to have a volume of 10. Now the volume goes 0 to 10. So each tone bend is a different volume. And you notice the different things on here. You'll notice when we get over here to sensitive full tones, it's just got the tone volume set to 10 on all of these, except for the first tone, which is below 6.8. It will only read a volume of 7. But that's full tones on right here. Basically includes all the frequencies from 100 up to 900 kilohertz for your tone bends. Fast, on the other hand, uses a pitch tone, and you'll notice over here that we have Goldfield and Relic that use pitch tones. But the rest of them actually use tone bends. Most of the ones use 3 tone bends, but I'll show you on my programs that I use 5 tone bends on most of those. The next thing we talk about is bottle cap rejection. I try to use as low a bottle cap rejection as possible. Factory programs are all set to 0 except for Park for bottle caps. On notch, since the Deus 2 is mainly is used in England and France and places like that, they have a notch here on sensitive full tones, fast, and Park for Coke, which is a mineral rock that sets a detector off. Here in the U.S., that's not that popular. Most places don't have Coke, but you're able to have 3 different notch levels. For instance, you can notch something out between the numbers of 64 and 84, which a lot of people do. Gets rid of a lot of the trash in the parks. I personally don't use notch, but we'll go into that in a second. Silencer What that does is it basically sets up how chatty the machine is. For instance, you'll notice that sensitive has uh, basically a silencer set to 1, so it's going to be pretty chatty. The rest of them are turned up. Park is set all the way up to 5 over here, so park is going to be different, and it's going to be less chatty and quieter. Silencer basically just tells the microprocessor to quieten down the machine so it doesn't chirp so much. You can achieve the same thing through sensitivity, and I'll go over the difference between sensitivity and salt sensitivity real quick. Sensitivity is how noisy the machine is to electromagnetic energy. So EMI energy, they call it, or other things like small stuff in the ground. It makes it more sensitive, like if you're picking up little bobby pins and things like that, you can make it less sensitive to the smaller stuff. But the sensitivity, you'll notice most of them are set on around 90. I think general is set to 95, and then a lot of the beach programs are turned way up. And I'll go into why that is. When a beach machine gets chatty, you'll notice that we've got 9, 9, and for beach sensitive over here set to 7. Beach machine gets chatty. It's usually because salt is conductive, and you want to change the salt sensitivity. 9 is high. It pretty much it lets it uh, it pretty much dampens most of the salt sensitivity. You can start turning this down, and it becomes less sensitive to salt. Also on the Deus 2, we have frequency max adjustment. Most of the programs run at the max frequency of 40 kilohertz. Of course, this is a fast multi-frequency machine, so it runs on anything from 4 to 40 kilohertz in FMF mode. You'll notice in Park, it's turned down to 24. Higher frequency, it's more sensitive to gold and smaller items. Lower frequency is more sensitive to high conductors, which is silver and larger items. You'll notice that relic and diving and beach are all 24 to 14. In their Park is 24. Deep high conductor is 14. And what Park is going for is deep high conductors like silver. So that's what that's for. You can also adjust your frequencies anywhere from 4 kilohertz to 45 kilohertz on a Deus 2. The deep Deus mono program is base program 16.5, but you can set it to a single frequency of anything you want. Iron volume, all the stock programs set it at 7. That means you're hearing a lot of iron. I turn my iron volume down. I don't want to hear iron, so that's one thing I do. A lot of the machines have reactivities. Typically, the higher the reactivity, the faster the machine will separate. For instance, if you have a nail next to a coin, if you run a low reactivity, it will combine those targets and average it out. And you'll just hear kind of a mixed tone. You won't hear a good solid high tone on that coin that's next to that iron. But if you raise that reactivity, say to 2, 2.5, or 3, it can separate the nail and the coin, and you'll hear a real high pitch blip followed by a grunt if the nail's after that. So it's good for separation, but where reactivity runs into problems is it decreases the depth. So on a lot of machines like Nocta and MindLab and stuff like that, they call this sweep speed. So if you set your sweep speed really low, so you're running really slow, you'll get a lot deeper, but you'll also miss a lot of targets that are next to other targets. If you set it too high, then you lose a lot of depth, but you'll have great separation on targets. So that's just a tip on that. Audio response, that is how, if you have a deep target, how much amplification goes into a deeper target. So you'll notice that the audio response goes from 0 to 7 on the DS2. If you adjust the audio response um, to say 0, that's not, it's, the weaker, the deeper targets are going to fade out and you're not going to hear them. Whereas if you start raising that, you'll start hearing the deeper targets. But if you raise it all the way up to 7, it's going to tell me a 10-inch dime sounds like just like a dime laying on top of the ground. So you don't want to raise it too high and you don't want to go too low. You want to get it to where you can tell the difference between a deep target and still hear a good sound on the deep target. So you can actually set this to 0 and find coins, and it's going to tell you accurately how deep it is, but it's going to be a real faint signal on deep coins. Threshold, all of the programs have threshold turned uh, off except for Fast, Goldfield, and Relic, and they have the threshold. The threshold is like the hum sounds you hear on gold machines and stuff. A lot of people like that. It helps identify. You can hear a faint change in a hum over a gold nugget, for instance, and they'll change that 0 to a number where they hear a slight hum based on their hearing. On ground tracking, automatic ground tracking on all the modes is set to off. I do not like automatic ground tracking, so I leave mine off, but you can turn it on and it will automatically ground track, and that's only if the ground has, it's pretty stable and it doesn't change very much. Ground stability also judges how stable your ground is. Like if you're going from an area that has magnetic black sand to an area that has blonde sand, this ground stability, you want to set it pretty high. Magnetic ground accept reject. You'll notice over on the beach programs, it has it set to reject on all of those. You can choose to accept those if your beach doesn't have a lot of iron minerals in it. Audio type, the DS2 has 3 audio types. One is called PWN, PWM. The other one's square. The other one's high square. Most of these are set to PWM and square, and none of the programs are set to high square. And I'll go over what I set mine at in a few minutes. The pinpointer auto track is off on all of these. You can set the pinpointer where auto tune is off on all of these. You can set the pinpointer when you pair it with your headphones. You can pair it to auto tune as you get closer to a target. Basically, I leave it off. I couldn't figure out how to get it working where it worked right for me. So I turned it off. So now I want to go over my settings, what I use. And so if we click here, you'll notice my underwater program is set up for, it's based off of the sensitive full tones program. And I saved it into one of my slots. And I'll show you what I've changed on mine. Pretty much everything in the discrimination stays factory stock. I run full tones for my underwater program. Bottle cap set to 0. They have a notch in here, 2324. I turn my notch off on my underwater program. I like it off. The silencer is set to 3. I change it to 1. I like my machine to be a little chatty, so I set it to 1. Sensitivity, I adjust it as high as possible. Factory comes at 90. I start turning it up to it becomes a little bit chatty, and then I back off a little bit. I run it at 40 kilohertz. I turn my iron volume down. I do not like hearing iron as much, so I turn that down to 4. Reactivity, I want it to go a little deeper, but I don't want to lose much reactivity separation between my targets, between my iron, my junk targets and my good targets. So I turn that from 3 to 2.5. My audio response, I'm not really after deep targets in the water, so to speak. I'm more after targets that, like jewelry that's fresh drops. So I turn my audio response down to 3. And the rest of everything stays the same on my underwater program. Um, the next thing is on my beach program. I have it based off the beach sensitive program. Program number 12, I saved that off into a slot, and I'll show you what I change. My beach sensitive program, I leave discrimination set thing, but I changed over to full tones. So I'm not using any of these 5 tones. I've got it set to full tones on mine. And pretty much everything stays the same on my beach program. The only thing I change is I prefer full tones on a beach program. On my coin program, there's quite a bit of changes. My coin program is based off program 6, which is the deep high conductor program, which is looking for deep silver coins. I leave my discrimination set there to 9. I set my tone bends up 0 to 9 at 100 kilohertz with a volume of 0. I do not want to hear anything under a 9. 9.1 to 54, I set it 150 kilohertz. It's kind of a low grunt. 54 is right below nickels, and I set that to volume of 3. I want to hear my nickels, 55 to 64, so I set that to a volume of 10. And I also make it a high sound, 883 kilohertz. The 65 to 84, there's a lot of junk in that region, but there's also some gold rings and things that are good in this region, 65 to 84. So I turn the frequency up to 501 kilohertz, set the volume to 5. Now my good stuff is 85 and up. I set to 901 kilohertz with the volume maxed out at 10. I do not change anything else except the frequency. I changed the frequency from 14 up to 24. I like 24 a little bit better. I leave my iron volume the same. I turn my reactivity up because usually the areas I hunt in is trashy. So reactivity gets me a little bit better target separation. Turn that up to 2.5. And here's the biggie. I set my audio type to high square rather than PWM. Gives more of a flutier sound on the coins. And I like that a lot better. And welcome, Detector 2 Guns. I appreciate you showing up. So that is my coin program that I've got that I use. And so basically, my main programs that I base everything off of, water programs based off of sensitive full tones, my competition programs based off of fast, my coin programs based off of deep high conductor, and the beach sensitive program is basically the program I make changes to do that. This is going to be on here. If you guys, I'll post this spreadsheet in the description, a link to it up there if you guys want to look at it. But that goes over all the settings in the XP Deus 2. But I want to point out, the big thing that I want to point out, these settings are for me. They work in my area. They work for the type of hunting I do. And if they don't work for you, great. Change them. Do something different. If they work for you, I'm really happy they do. I hope that basically that you find a good set of settings that work for you. I'm always here to answer questions. If anybody has any questions, a lot of people go to Prospectors Cash Facebook page and message me through Messenger and Facebook. And I always answer everybody's question. I answer questions if you enter them in the comments on the site. And well, hello, Southern Relic Adventures. We've been talking programs, and I just wanted to say Southern Relic Adventures has a great program out there that he uses for relics. I'm not a relic hunter, and like I said, all of these programs that I've already presented, um, on here will be on here for you to go take a look at. And like I said, I think I have a really good water program because I am an underwater hunter, and I really like the way I have it set up. I have a really good competition program if you like to hunt seeded hunts. And I think my coin program works real well. I suggest if you're a relic hunter, go check out Southern Relic Adventures page. They're primarily relic hunters, and they do that all the time. So their program is really good for relics. With that being said, I don't want, like I said, I really hate when people get on here and bash other people's programs. These programs all work for me, and they work in my area. And if you've got suggestions, if you see I'm doing something wrong, I'm up for suggestions. But I was a little taken aback at some of the nastiness going on when one fella suggested using Notch, and he put it out there for the world, and people just totally mistreated him and said a bunch of nasty stuff out there. Personally, his program didn't work well for me for a lot of the reasons that other people said, but I do compliment him on pointing out a lot of good things that the program, how it works. And we should be supporting each other, guys, rather than bashing each other and trying to get one up on the next thing, especially channel creators. Channel creators should be supporting each other and helping this hobby grow. I'm not on here uh, for help for subscribers and bashing other channels. I'm on here to say all the channels give me good information, and I absorb that information and I come to conclusions. And if I find things that I find that are helpful, I'll share that with you, just like I have the last 20 minutes or so on all my programs. And uh, I think the programs that I suggested, a lot of them you can adapt them, Bill, to the legend. You can David of 79 Custom Jigs up here. He uses a legend, and he's taken a lot of the stuff that I've suggested, and he uses those ideas in his programs. For instance, discrimination, you want to run it low. You've got the ability to do tone bends on different detectors. You might not have full tones. Some detectors do, some don't. And you've got the ability to adjust tone bends like the Nocta does. So you can use a lot of the ideas that I just shared over these last 20 minutes or so, and adapt them to the legend. All the detectors, they they have discrimination and notch. And sorry guys, my voice is going because I haven't been feeling good all week, but I'm trying to do this show anyway. But anyway, we've all detectors have discrimination, and I'm not a big fan of discrimination. I mean, there's places for it if you were looking for one specific target, but it clips the ends of signals. So I prefer, if you can do it like XP allows you to do it, is go in there and keep the discrimination low and change tone bends. And they give you up to 5 tone bends, so you can turn the volume down on tones that you don't want to hear. And it's it's one of those things where you just have to go in and play with your machine. Um, some of the tips I gave on silencer, my settings for silencer and sensitivity, go back and review this video, or I'm gonna publish it as a video. Go back and review it, and you can see what I set on stuff and how it works. And yeah, Southern Relic Adventures, the Legend is a good machine. Works really good on the beach. David loves his Legend. I mean, it's a good underwater machine. It's a good beach machine. I like that the shaft shortens up. Unlike a Mine Lab, you can't really get the shaft short enough to do any diving with, the Manicore, the Equinox versions. And they really thought this out on the Noctas. They give it a good ability to shorten up shaft and dive with it. David dives with his. He hunts on land with his. It's a multi-frequency machine, just like the Deus 2. So a lot of these settings you can transfer right over to, to a Nocta. You can transfer a lot of these over to a Mine Lab, and you can use these on, a lot of these settings on non-multi-frequency machines. For instance, some of the stuff here, I've tried it out on the Mine Lab Xterra Pro, and it works good. Yeah, the Legend is a great machine, Southern Relic Adventures. It's got all the features. I mean, you get pretty much everything you get in the Deus 2, except for a 5-year warranty, being able to dive 66 feet, and being wireless. And it's a little heavier, and you don't have some audio frequencies. Other than that, you got a machine that performs as well as, a $600 machine that performs as well as a $1,500 machine, in my opinion. I mean, the thing about it being on YouTube, if you say something and you hurt somebody's feelings because they have a different machine, that's you don't want to do that, because I'm not in machine bashing. The best metal detector out there is the one you use. If you get out and use it, that's a good detector. I'm just saying, from my experience on today's equipment, my two picks on machines would be the Nocta and the XP Deus 2. On the low end, I really like that Mine Lab Xterra Pro. I think that's a really good machine too. And Southern Relic, NC Relic Hunter says the Nocta score and double score will be interesting for the money too. Yeah, I haven't seen much of those out there, Michael. It's kind of weird that they haven't. I haven't seen many dealers promoting those the way they do the other machines. But yeah, I know the Simplex and the Simplex Plus is a great machine. A lot of people have those and they work well, and so I think those are great machines. Yeah, I can't wait to see those either. I mean, it's kind of like, you just wait and see on different machines and different functions. And by the way, I got to say, Southern Relic Adventure, I've been watching all the stuff you've been putting out on the Stream Hunter. I haven't been to your live streams. I've been sick, not feeling well, and I've had things come up that's kept me from making it to the live streams. But I'll be back, I promise. Yeah, they haven't released it yet, but it's coming soon. But I still haven't seen any dates. That's what I was referring to. Is that, usually like on the Calico side or someplace like that, they'll publish coming in, December or something like that, or they'll publish something like that. But I haven't seen anything about when those are coming out. And I'm interested in seeing how well they perform. They should be really good machines. Simplex Plus has been a great machine for a low end detector. I mean, I've seen a lot of people use those, and they do well. And it was the go-to detector, I think, before the Mine Lab come out with the Xterra Pro. I've tried both the Xterra Pro and the Simplex Plus, and I give the edge to the MindLab on this one. And I think MindLab come out with that just to compete with the Simplex Plus. Um, yeah, so it might be April next year. I mean, usually they come out in the spring. You're kind of right. A lot of detectors come out in the spring because people are just now getting back out after a long winter and stuff. Wow, you're joking me, right? The Go Terrain app. I'm gonna check that out as soon as I get off of there. So I've been wanting that and hounding them on their Go Terrain Facebook page for a long time. Uh, Man, Brian, that's awesome. I just can't believe that I hadn't seen it because I check that every day on their Facebook page. I know they released it in a lot of other places, but it's coming to the U.S. They were last to get here. Uh, I wanted to see it. I know somebody that's using a backdoor copy of it, and they've been using a backdoor copy of it. And here's what I've heard, and we can test it out. I really want to test it because if you're like me and you go to a place and you detect, you want to map out your places. I do. I map my places right now with my trusty GPS watch. And like if I hunt a place, I turn on the walking app and map where I go, but I don't have any record of my targets like you could do with the Go Terrain app. Um, and so I bugged XP about this for a long time about coming out with the Go Terrain app. And I'm excited to try it. But my friend, here's the downside to it. He says it really kills the battery in the control box. He says that his battery in the control head, the control box, the RC went down to half. So he's not getting nearly the uh, time on the battery. So we're going to have to watch that one to see if we get battery life on there. But MindLab's had their GPS app out for a long time, and a few people use it, but and I never liked their app that much, but they did release it, and I just didn't like it. Some of the features that are offered on this one, I think could be a lot better on the Go Terrain app. And like I said, once I get off this live chat, I'm gonna go check it out, even though I don't feel well. I'm thinking I'm gonna go get the uh, go maybe download it and try it out, and maybe when I get to feeling better, get out and use it some. I know it probably won't work underwater, so I'm already counting on that being a no go. I don't see how they would make it work underwater, but sure would be nice if you could do it underwater as well. Um, so you got it installed on your phone. Have you paired it with your control box yet? That's a thing. Pairing it with your control box, and maybe walk around the yard and with your control box and see how it works. Just that's kind of what I'm gonna do. But man, thanks for letting me know about that. I really been looking forward to that for some time. I think mapping your targets and mapping where you've been would be a good thing, especially if you're doing historical sites, especially for you relic hunters. Um, you know, it's I just think that for you guys, the relic hunters, it would really be something great. But I think if it kills your battery, you might have to take along a battery brick or something to recharge yourself out in the field, or use the RC for a while and switch over to the WS6 for a while or something like that. So that anyway, I'm gonna try that out as soon as I get off of here. And that's about all I had tonight. I mean, in the program tonight, we covered all of the settings that are available and what they do on the XP Deus 2, and I covered the settings that I currently use. Um, on my programs for water, for beach, for coin. And what I think one thing I didn't talk about is something that's when you use sensitive full tones, there's something called offset in there, and it comes stock at 5. Now, what offset does is wherever you set your discrimination, let's say you had it set to 10, it puts in an extra 5 offset to the point where it starts beating. So, in other words, it will increase the number that you see on your screen by 5 and give you a little bit of separation between your discrimination and where your targets start coming in at. And what that does is it eliminates some of the clipping, and it makes it for a quieter machine. So a lot of those pops and stuff like that, you don't hear those in there. What I found, my machine seems to run best around 10. 10 or 11. I mean, I can't, if you start getting up to 15 or so, it just gets kind of ridiculous on the numbers that you're seeing. But, uh, I tried running it up there higher, and once I got above 11, the numbers really got messed up on U.S. coins. And I know that wouldn't affect the relic hunters. Like NC Relic Hunter says, he runs his up 10, 15. And so the relic hunters don't watch numbers as much as the coin hunters do. I don't look at numbers usually most of the time, especially underwater. But when I'm searching in, say, a park or something for coins, or around the old home site for coins, I do look at the numbers. And, when you got a nickel that usually reads 58, 59, and now it's reading 68, 70, where my pull tabs come in, that kind of messes the numbers up a lot. So anyway, I like 10 on my offset. It seems to quiet the machine down and make that crackly pop sound go away some, and gives you a little bit more target separation between your discrimination and where you start picking up your targets. So that's the only thing I think I didn't mention when we were going over all the settings, but I thought I'd mention that real quick. Another thing is, on your settings, you got to know what coil size you're using. For instance, if you're covering a larger area, you're going to have more targets under that coil at one time. So, when the numbers of 2 or 3 targets start averaging out under a big coil, that makes things different. And so you have to take that into account too. When you're setting up your numbers, what size of coil you're running. I happen to be running an 11-inch coil on land, and I run the 9-inch coil underwater. Yeah, it is a great feature. It also, I think the audio filter. I think I mentioned on mine, I set my audio filter to 1, but if you look on some of the machines, I'm looking here at the chart I just had. I'll take you back over to that. I'm looking here. I don't think I put those settings on my spreadsheet, but the audio response, you'll notice it's set to 4 all the way across there. I like to hear those deeper sounds, so I usually lower mine a little bit. It's what I put down. And then the audio filter, I found 1 or 2 on there. It works best for me. If I'm working in a park or somewhere, I might go up to 3 if it's really noisy. So, the good thing about it is all you can adjust these all day long. And I have never found two Deus 2 users that use exactly the same settings if they know their machine and they're making adjustments on it. And therefore, I will never say anything bad about anyone else's programs. I might tell them it doesn't work for me and go use my own program, but getting on the YouTube and bashing somebody's not the way to do that. Uh, you know, I try to do my charts. I've got it all set up here. You can look here. I'll go back over it real quick for people coming in late. I'll show what I base my underwater program on. I base it on sensitive full tones, and this is what I use for freshwater. And these are the adjustments I made to my machine. You notice I turn the notch off and I set the silencer to 1. And anyway, these are what I set mine to. And I went over that earlier, so you can go back and watch the video and set them however you want to set them. But like I said, there are a lot of good programs out there. I mean, I know Southern Relic Adventures that come out with that good program. Mental Metal's got some good coin shooting programs. His programs are geared more toward coins and less toward finding anything other than coins. They work good though. I mean, they seem to work pretty good for me. The Bird Dog program is one that Tennessee Sharpshooter come up with. He has some good ideas on notch, and I thought it was pretty good attempt at solving a problem that's out there. But there's some issues that I ran into when I ran that program. But I give him applause for trying to come up with something good. And he always has great information on his channel. There, the Silver Slayer program, the Forager program, all these different programs, they all work, for people in their certain areas. And like I said, I'm always willing to look at what one person's doing over what another person's doing. And I've looked at every one of these programs, and what I've put in this talk tonight is just what works for me. And I just hope you guys find it useful. Go back and watch the video, because I'm going to put this out as a video. Probably be out sometime tomorrow as the video, but you can go back and watch the live chat. And we'll put it out, and hopefully it helps somebody make some adjustments on their machine if they're having trouble. I did have people saying that their Deus 2 was too chatty. The three biggest things there, adjust your reactivity, adjust your sensitivity, obviously, and be sure to noise cancel. Those are the three biggies, I think, for where you start to quieten your machine down. Then you can run silencer. Silencer will really quieten it down. If you want to turn your silencer up, you're going to get a nice quiet machine. And then also, if it's running at full max 40 kilohertz and it's all that, you've tried all that and it doesn't work, try lowering your frequency to 24 or 14. That really helps quieten them down a lot. So I've had several people talk to me on Facebook that they're having trouble with version 2.0 and 1.1 and 1.0 being chatty. Those adjustments I just went over, those are the ones that I found that help. And I'm just hoping that, me talking about my adjustments and talking about that, you got to learn your machine and you got to learn how to adjust it yourself, and why I adjusted my base programs the way I did. I'm just hoping it helps people. And, I've been on here for about 50 minutes now, and I'm getting a little hoarse, so I think I'm going to get off here tonight, guys, and want to thank everybody for showing up on the Wednesday night live stream. Before I get off here, I'm going to ask Teach Southern Relic Adventures, when's your next live stream going to be? And can you let us know in the comments when your next live stream is going to be? And we'll make sure that everybody tries to attend that. I'd like to know when you're doing it. I know there's a delay here, so we'll wait for you to publish that. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Okay, he's having it Friday night at 7:30 p.m. and that's Eastern Standard Time, y'all. So for us in Texas, that would be 6:30 p.m. So be sure to go over to Southern Relic Adventures. He always has great programs, always. And anyway, I do suggest you guys go check out his channel and watch his programs. He has great information over there. And until next Wednesday night, folks, I guess I'll see you guys later. God bless.